For my project, I'm going to be looking at the debate between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf and where I stand on it. But before we can get into where I stand on it, I'm going to give a little breakdown of the whole entire situation. Pretty much since the PGA Tour was founded in 1968, they've been the premier golf league. Any golfer you can ever think of has played on the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods, PGA Tour; Jack Nicklaus, PGA Tour; Arnold Palmer, PGA Tour. All of them, some of the best golfers ever, all have been on the PGA Tour. And out of nowhere in 2020, a new golf league was formed called LIV Golf, backed by some Saudi Arabian companies, and started offering some of the PGA Tour's top players absurd contracts, over $100 million contracts, to come and join their new league. And some of the PGA Tour players decided to join and take up on those contracts, such as Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, all left to go join the PGA Tour, LIV Golf, excuse me. And currently, the PGA Tour, to combat that, made it to where any player that does sign a contract with LIV Golf is permanently banned from the PGA Tour, and are also excluded from the official world golf rankings, which decide things such as who goes to the Olympics and who goes to the Ryder Cups and who goes to the President's Cup. Some major tournaments that these LIV Golf players are excluded from because they play for LIV Golf. Personally, after researching for this project and just the background knowledge I have, I find myself siding with the PGA Tour more because of that legacy they have. And they were first. Any golf moment you can think of, Tiger winning 15 majors and completing the Tiger Slam, Jack Nicklaus winning 18 majors and being, holding that record, all happened on the PGA Tour. They have the accomplishments. And personally, it doesn't sit well with me, the backing of LIV Golf and where this money's coming from. And it just seems all kind of dirty to me, where you're just taking a big payday to go and leave the tour that got you started, But anyways, so the stakeholder I'm going to be trying to persuade is the players who left for LIV Golf. And in order to persuade them, first, I'm going to look at some quotes to see where they're coming from and kind of get a feel of why they made their decision. So the first quote I'll be looking at is one from 2023 Masters champion Jon Rahm, who said, and I quote, "I don't play golf for money, but as a father, as a husband, as a family man, I do owe it to my family to set them up the best I can, and luckily I have that possibility, so yeah, that was a big part of it." And then another quote from Bryson DeChambeau, who won the 2024 and 2020 U.S. Open, who said, and I quote, "People can say I moved to one side, but I did it for my family. What I had in front of me at that point in time, I think my mom would have probably smacked me for not taking that deal." So they're pretty much saying that, they did it to set up their families, but that all comes down to money. They took these contracts for the money of it, and according to multiple sources, both these players were offered contracts of over $100 million, which is just life-changing money, to leave and join LIV Golf. So now that we kind of have an idea of why these players left and their kind of motivations, I'm going to go into my opinion and the reasons why I believe they should have stayed with the PGA Tour. As I mentioned earlier, just the whole legacy of the PGA Tour. Any golf moment, any golf course you can think of has ran through the PGA Tour. I mean, as I was mentioning some of the greats, Jack Nicklaus, 18 majors, PGA Tour. Tiger Woods, his run in the 2000s on the PGA Tour, winning however many events on the tour and holding all four majors at once while he was on the PGA Tour. And even if we look more recently, Scottie Scheffler, who just won, I believe it was 8-9 tour events, won the Masters. These players are just some of the most historic golfers of all time, and they were on the PGA Tour. And even some of those players like Tiger, he turned down LIV Golf because of the legacy of the tour. And it personally didn't align with him to, leave the company and the league that got him his start and made him who he is. The next point I'll be making on why I think these golfers such as Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, Phil Mickelson should have stayed on the PGA Tour is because of the shady backing of LIV. Came out of nowhere. Saudi Arabian-backed golf league offering these players hundreds of millions of dollars, which this money coming from the Middle East seems all a little odd to me. Seems a little shady, and that's it. I mean, then the next point I'll be making is quotes from PGA Tour players who decided to stay and kind of where their allegiance lines and their priorities line. And so first we have Rory McIlroy, who is currently, I believe, the number 3 golfer in the world, one of the greatest golfers of all time. People say he might be the best driver of the golf ball of all time, who has been adamantly, since 2020, adamantly against LIV Golf. And he said, and I quote, "People are looking at it purely from a monetary standpoint. I would like to be on the right side of history," which is exactly the point I'm trying to make, is that the PGA Tour is the right side of history. And that when it's all said and done and we're looking back, and we can even see it now. I mean, these players have a stand in their legacy because they left to go to LIV Golf. People don't look at them the same. They kind of think of them as sellouts. And because now, with them playing on the LIV Golf, you know, whenever you tune in on a Sunday to watch, you know, you get that ESPN notification, you see Scotty Scheffler has a 1-shot lead at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. You're not seeing these players such as Bryson DeChambeau and Jon Rahm. You're not seeing them there because they left the PGA Tour. And people start to question, like, okay, well, I'm not watching. I mean, I'm watching, and I'm not seeing these players. Why did they leave? And people kind of start to have opinions on these players because of the sellout. I mean, they took these contracts that had, I mean, absurd amount of money to kind of just give a punch in the face to the PGA Tour. The next PGA Tour golfer I'll be looking at who decided to stay was Texas Tech Red Raider, Ludwig Aberg, who said, and I quote, "There were a number of red flags, which is not good. We realized that I could potentially burn a lot of bridges, and I wasn't interested in that. When I look back, I am very confident in my decision. I will never chase money. What I do is compete. I did the right thing." Exactly the point I'm making is the red flags. I mean, as I was mentioning, shady backing. We don't know where this money's coming from. And then you completely burn a bridge. I mean, a lifetime ban from the best golf league in the world is not something you want on your resume. A lot of these discussions and what I've been talking about all comes back to money. And I've said that these contracts that LIV is handing out are worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. But I can't argue with the fact that the money is more on LIV Golf. But it's not like the money on the PGA Tour is anything to laugh at. In 2022, it was announced that announced in a memo sent out to tour players that there was going to be a significant purse increase in the 8 non-major tournaments, with the payouts to players jumping to $20 million per event, which is a ton of money compared to where it used to be. And this was kind of to also combat LIV Golf, you know, keep up with the money they're offering. But when we look at the top earners on the PGA Tour, Scotty Scheffler made over $30 million this year on the PGA Tour for just winning events, just for finishing first on these. Not even finishing first. You make money once you make the cut. So in all of his finishes, he made over $30 million. This number doesn't even take into account the actual contract he has with the PGA Tour, because each player has their own contract for however much money. The money he made, this $30 million, was just from earnings on the tour for placing well in these events. And it also doesn't take into account any sponsorships he has with any company. Like he's a Nike athlete. Does not. I mean, I would be willing to bet that contract is millions and millions of dollars. That $30 million number has nothing to do with that. Does not take that into account. Then when we look even deeper, the top 10 biggest earners on the PGA Tour all made over $5 million during the season this year. And that season lasts just about 8 months, starts in January, ends in August. I mean, over $5 million in 8 months is life-changing money. I mean, that's money that me and you would kill to have, and they're doing it for golfing. And these players leaving to go to the LIV Golf, obviously it is a pay jump, but it's, I mean, what, a pay jump from, you're still millions to millions. I mean, you're still making a ton of money on the PGA Tour, and you're not getting asked in every interview why you left. You're not getting asked in every interview what you think about your legacy, because you're still on the right side of history, such as Rory McIlroy said. These players on the PGA Tour are on the right side of history, and that's the point I'm trying to get across. And that the players that left for LIV are have a massive stain on that legacy. And I personally believe that the punishment for them leaving to go to LIV is completely justified. Because, I mean, imagine, let's do another sports analogy. Let's say Luka signed a $5 million or $50 million deal with the Dallas Mavs, and then all of a sudden the next day it was like, actually, I'm going back to the EuroLeague. He would have to, face criticism and receive punishments from the NBA. And it's pretty much that exact same situation here. Pretty much to wrap it all up, the opinion I'm trying to get across to you, the audience, and the other stakeholder of LIV Golf players is that this whole debate and whether the punishments are too harsh, I completely side with the PGA Tour, and that these punishments are just because, again, you completely put a stain on your legacy. You completely became a traitor to the tour that, gave you your start, gave you all these opportunities, and kind of just slapped them in the face and said, I'm taking the massive payday from shady backing. So yeah, it's completely just for the PGA Tour to ban these players. And yeah, that's my project. After all this research, my opinion started as, sort of siding with the PGA Tour, but after doing all the research and seeing what, these players actually think, it really strengthened that opinion, and that I truly do believe that the PGA Tour is in the right in this whole situation.